Om Shanti, how are you? On Friday, Myanmar witnessed a huge earthquake of 7.7 magnitude. It has rocked Myanmar, Bangkok, and also some parts of China. And the severe damage is in the second largest city of Myanmar, which is Mandalay. Uh, It is estimated around 1700s were killed, and the death toll is expected to rise to 10,000 because it is similar to the earthquake that rocked Syria, Turkey some 2 years back, that left millions of people dead. So the same is expected to happen here too. And people say that it is because of the movement of the tectonic plates, especially the Indian plate hitting against the other plates. That is the actual reason for this earthquake, and it is expected to hit several parts of the world in the near future. The more earthquake prone area being the parts around Himalaya. So in this earthquake, we have seen buildings flattened to earth, and it includes the places of worship like a pagoda, the worship place of Buddhist monks, and mosques that were flattened. And it happened on Friday afternoon, which is actually the very important prayer time for Muslims. So people were obviously inside the mosque when it collapsed on them. So obviously it would have increased the death toll as well. And also in several hotels, when people were taking lunch, the hotel collapsed on them. So it must have taken the lives of several. So just a month before, the video of warfish coming to the shore from the deep sea was going viral, and people uh, were afraid of some massive world destruction, which is proved right now by this earthquake. The hospitals in Myanmar, they're flooded with people affected by earthquake, and they were being treated outside the hospital, uh, fearing aftershocks, because aftershocks are happening quite frequently in Myanmar, which deters rescue workers quite often. Stories of the survivors of this earthquake uh, proved a miracle, because one man says that he was in the restroom when this earthquake happened, so it is easy for him to get out of the room. And also another person said he was at the construction site. He had to come to the ground floor to take something when this earthquake happened, so it is easy for him to come out. And he says the whole building collapsed right before him in a fraction of a second. So this uh, resonates with the story of Lot in Bible, where God asked him to leave the city because God is angry that people are so sinful in that city that he wants to burn the city. So as soon as he leaves the city was burnt to earth. So this also has uh, karma. uh, Karma has a huge role to play in saving the survivors of this earthquake. So some people are being rescued alive from the rebels, but still people say most of them would be dead by now because it's already uh, we are on the third day. So the chance of survivors is pretty less, but still they using thermal imaging, uh, they confirm that there are still lives hidden, buried in the beneath the rubble. So in Myanmar, civil war broke out in 2021 after a coup by military. So it is ruled by military now, and pro-democratic group rebel against the military, and the war is ongoing, and now it's seeing the huge destruction. So this is also similar to what happened 2 years back in Syria. Uh, Very strong earthquake hit Syria and Turkey, left thousands dead. And even in Syria, civil war has been ongoing for the past 15 years. So we need to understand there is a correlation between civil war and natural calamities. When there is a civil war, there is a strong negative vibration in that area, vibration of hatredness that actually induces natural calamities. We are seeing it again and again. So negative vibrations doesn't arise only from hatred, but also it arises out of the thoughts of lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So that's why God says to stay out of this, and the way to do that is by detaching yourself from everything, including your body and bodily feeling. So what you have to do is to have the knowledge of God, which teaches you the reality of who we are. God says we are not this perishable body. Because we think ourselves as this perishable body, we attach ourselves to the family that we are from, we attach to the language we speak, we attach to the religion, caste, nationality that we belong to, but in reality we are not even this body. So this is how we are trapped by the limited mindset. So you need to come out of the limited boundaries by considering yourself to be the imperishable soul that shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, which is why Hindus apply tilak here. uh, we souls uh, see through the eyes, speaks through the mouth, listens through the ear, performs all actions using this body. Nonetheless, we are not this body, but we are this imperishable soul. We have to constantly remind ourselves before the soul consciousness becomes very natural for us. So, in addition, we need to remember God, uh, because only then it is possible for us to fill ourselves with the power required to break the body consciousness. For that, we need to know how God looks like. No religion ever says anything about God which proves it has nothing to do with God. Only God knows everything about him, and he comes just 100 years before the destruction of this world, and he comes in 1936 in an old man's body and gives the knowledge about this 5000 year time cycle, when this world was heaven for the first 2500 years, and this is hell for the last 2500 years. The good news is we are at the end of this world, so the world will get destroyed, but that's not a bad news, because the world destruction is actually the renewal of this world. So this world will be renewed back to heaven again. So while we were in heaven, we were fully soul conscious. That's the reason we were absolutely free of these five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So we stayed as pure as a newborn child, as mentioned by Jesus Christ, that one needs to be a child to enter heaven. So it is by being soul conscious it is possible. Although men and women were so beautiful in heaven, they were not even slightly disturbed by each other's beauty, because their concentration is in the soul and not on the body. So they were so rich that they lived in palaces built out of golden rocks. Nonetheless, they were number wise, not everybody is of the same status, but still everybody lived happily, everybody were rich but not equally rich. uh, but still they didn't have jealous on each other because they were soul conscious. The true nature of the soul itself is blissfulness, peacefulness, and purity. So when we are soul conscious, we will be happy from within. So when we are happy, we will not have any negative or waste thoughts. That's the reason we were so happy for the first 2500 years. But after 2500 years, we no longer remain soul conscious. We are trapped in this body, and we come to body consciousness. That's when these five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego start emerging from within us. So we didn't know that. So nobody was there to teach the difference between right and wrong. So under the influence of our addiction to sensual pleasures, that we could no longer differentiate between right and wrong, we started committing more and more sins, because of which we are punished. That's how we lose the beauty, health, wealth, and the divine qualities. As a result, we are now in the world we live in. We are facing different varieties of diseases like coronavirus, and also we are facing natural calamities every now and then. And anyway, this world has to be destroyed, only then it will become heaven. So it is only when we are body conscious that we get afraid. If you're fully soul conscious, then no matter what happens to your country, religion, your relationships, you will no longer bother, because you consider yourself dead, because the separation of soul from this body is considered to be dying, right? So God says, always consider yourself to be the soul without your body. So also interact with each other by being aware that you are speaking to the soul and not to the body. This way you will be detached from any sort of attachment towards anybody or anything. So for that, you need to remember God as a point of light as much as possible. That's how he is. He's also a soul just like us. The only difference between soul and supreme soul is we enter the birth and death cycle, enjoy the richness of heaven, and suffer the poverty and all sorts of suffering in hell. But God stays away from heaven and hell. Nonetheless, he had to come in the end, because only he has the knowledge to save us and get us back to the heaven. So for that, you need to become soul conscious again. For that, you need to remember God as a point of light. He resides in this place, which is the golden red colored light world. So we have to remember God like a star shining in the golden red colored sky. So this is what we need to do. When this is how you become soul conscious. Eventually, once you become fully soul conscious, no matter what happens around you, you will constantly be at peace and blissfulness. um, so in Syria, civil war broke out following the murder of two kids who wrote some negative comments about the ruling party. So they were taken to police custody and they were severely beaten to death. So that's when a small group protested against the government, and government used the police force to suppress them. Then unexpectedly, several groups across the country protested against them. That's how the civil war broke out. Uh, Likewise, here people pro-democratic party, they rebel against the military regime in Myanmar. So it is very easy to find a reason to wage war against anybody. But you need to understand that if people of Syria or Myanmar, if they knew it beforehand that they will eventually be destroyed by this massive earthquake within few years, they wouldn't have started the war at all, because anyway they are going to die. So what does it matter if military rules or somebody else rules? So they didn't know that. And if they were at peace, no matter what happened, then maybe they would have protected from these natural calamities. So the law of karma plays a great role in these natural calamities. So it is essential to be at peace all the time, no matter what happens to you or to anybody around you, because whatever is happening is already prefixed. Because God says what happens in this 5,000 year time cycle called kalpa, that keeps repeating kalpa after kalpa accurately. To understand it simply, if you're listening to this video now in 2025, you would have listened to the same video 5,000 years before in the last kalpa in the same 2025. So this will repeat kalpa after kalpa. So whatever we have seen so far that was happening in the previous kalpa will happen in the next kalpa, will happen kalpa after kalpa. So when you know that, so there is nothing that you can do to stop it, then you will not try to stop it. It is when you want to stop something from happening that a serious issue happen, like this civil war. So we have seen religious uh, buildings like pagoda, mosque, that were brought down to earth by this massive earthquake. So will people get angry towards anybody for this? But what if somebody of another religion did the same thing in bringing the building down? There would be huge violence, right? So whether it's done by human or by nature, whatever was fixed, it would definitely happen. So even if somebody from other religion brought down the religious sacred place, just consider it to be similar to have happened due to natural calamities. Only then you will be at peace, because people are at peace now. They don't worry about pagoda collapse or mosque collapse now, because it happened by nature. So that's the reason we ask people to detach yourself from everything, from all identification. Just consider yourself to be the soul, which is actually you, and you have no relationship with anybody but God. The more you remember Him, the more powerful our souls will become, which is essential at the time of destruction, because we have to leave this body in remembrance of God. And this God is called Shiva by Hindus, Allah by Muslims, Heavenly Godfather by Christians. God is just one. His duty is to give knowledge at the end of this world, just 100 years before the destruction of this world. He enters an old man's body. He names that old man as Brahma and start giving this knowledge through his mouth. And rescue teams uh, were coming from several countries to Myanmar, including India. So the rescue team of India was named Operation Brahma, which is nice because here God enters an old man and he names him as Brahma. So it is through Brahma God gives this knowledge, and those who listen to this knowledge, they become direct children of God through Brahma, which is why we are also called sons and daughters of Brahma, which in Hindi is called as Brahma Kumar and Brahma Kumaris. So rescue teams in the Kyok hit area will be able to rescue some people and provide some food, cloth, and temporary shelter. But that's not the permanent solution, right? And we can't save everybody. And there is no guarantee that similar natural calamity will not happen again. And even those who survived, their life is going to be very hard for them after losing everything they have earned throughout their life. But the knowledge given by God through Brahma Kumaris is to detach yourself from everything so that you will enjoy the true freedom. So when you are free, you should be happy. Only then you are considered free. Just because your country got freedom doesn't mean you are free, right? You still have to work, you still have to suffer, bringing up your family, and when deadly disease afflicts you, then also you need to suffer. And due to this inflammation rate, people are suffering more and more because they can't afford uh, even the essential commodities. So everything will happen. But by listening to God's knowledge and becoming soul conscious, we'll be taking birth in heaven again. Because only in the last 100 years God gives this knowledge, and it's been 90 years already. So only 10, more or less 10 years are left. So very little time is left. And this is good news because we are going to enter the world that is absolutely free from any type of sorrow or pain. So for that, we are becoming eligible by becoming soul conscious. Because in heaven, we had no traces of these five vices like lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. How do you achieve that? By practicing soul consciousness and remembering God now, that it becomes our deep seated nature that the soul carries with it to the next birth. So, when we become totally free from everybody and we are under the protection of God and we are constantly aware of it, so no matter what happens right before us, nothing can shake away our peace. Of course, we need to work hard to reach that stage. It takes time and effort. But once you reach that stage, obviously the world will get destroyed and people will be so peaceless. So at that time, you will be at the peak of peace. So every peaceful thoughts you produce will create peaceful vibrations throughout the world, which is essential for them at that time to stay peace, and they will definitely receive this knowledge somehow. So at that point, they will try to consider themselves to be soul and to connect their mind with the supreme soul. That's when they get liberated from this world of sorrow, and they will go back to where they came from, that is the soul world, which is called Parandham or Parlok. So that's where souls came from, that's where souls go back to. So after going there, we need to come back as soon as the world is renewed into heaven. Only for that we are making effort to fill ourselves with divine qualities, to get free from those five vices. How do you do that? By being soul conscious, by remembering God, and by listening to the direct knowledge of God, which is called Murli, which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahma Kumaris Rajog meditation centers, and you can also get that uh, in several websites and YouTube channels. Even I'll be giving the links of some in the description below. So please make use of it. So obviously everybody has to die, everybody has to leave this world, but don't be afraid. We are not this body. It is body consciousness that makes you fear. When you become fully soul conscious, you will not have any trace of fear. And you will be so happy that you are going to take a new birth. You will be given a new divine body that is absolutely free of any diseases. So for the next 2500 years, this world is going to be free from any form of diseases, any form of suffering, any form of pain. Even childbirth will not be painful. Child will be delivered. It would be laughing at the time of birth. Even the mother won't suffer at all. So because the childbirth doesn't happen out of sex, but it is when when husband and wife has this thought of having a baby, the wife gets pregnant. That's the power of the thought of the pure souls. So it is by remembering God as a point of light as much as possible that we become as pure as God himself. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching. So no matter what happens to you, don't resist. Just accept, because we have sinned a lot in the form of these five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. You know for yourself, right? So it is just a punishment. When you accept it, it is decreased to half. When you resist, it is increased multifold. You need to understand that. So stay at peace no matter what. So it's really heartbreaking to know that military in Myanmar launched a airstrike just few minutes after the earthquake. See how horrible people are. So how do you, what can you pray to God? Because we are sinning and we are asking God to save from the effects of sin. So praying God, that is called the path of devotion, which is over now. Now it is the path of knowledge, where we don't pray God, but we remember God. It is by remembering God that we receive the strength to stay at peace no matter what happens to us. So that builds the power of the soul, which is essential to withstand any situation at peace. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching.